Hello, and welcome to another episode of Soulmates Unscripted. I'm Frank,
And I'm Nandi.
and as always, this is for information and entertainment purposes only.
We are not professional counselors.
No, and this is not meant as professional advice, and you can take it as advice, but you can take it or leave it with a grain of salt as you see fit.
So tonight, we were going to talk about money. Money is a big topic when it comes to relationships and marriages. I think I've read a couple of times that financial difficulties are often the number one cause of breakups. So,
and people tend to stress about money just in general, whether it's in their own relationship or not, just individually as well. So,
yes. But obviously, most of our conversations are in the context of relationships and just navigating relationships. And so the conversations that we've been having this past week were with people regarding how they handle finances in their relationships and in their marriages. And we were fascinated by the variety of different configurations regarding money. We've chosen to
we combine. Basically, we have a single bank account that we both deposit our checks into, and all of our money, essentially.
So there's one pot, right? Yes. So there's never like an issue of like who's paying or who's buying or who's right.
Yeah.
There's just one pot for everything, and in fact, when we do want to surprise each other,
makes it a little difficult.
Yeah, we'll have to use a credit card
or use a credit card.
We both have access to the accounts that we share, and so it's not possible to surprise because we both look pretty regularly.
I mean, you'll know where it came from. You don't know what the present is if we use our regular accounts.
So yeah, if you want to surprise somebody, you got to use a credit card around you. But we, some of the conversations we were having with people, we talked to people who actually have completely separate accounts, and they split everything down the middle. They just, write checks, like, for the mortgage, like two separate checks and two separate transfers.
Or write one check to the other person or whatever.
Or somebody transfers or sends Zells the other person in their account.
Or I know somebody that they keep one separate account just for bills, and and then they also have individual accounts that they use for their own money
spending. Yeah, we did encounter that situation, and then I think the probably the first time that we started thinking about this a few years ago, when a friend said that the spouse owed them money, and we just kind of looked at each other like, huh? I think, oh no, you know what it was? We were going somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And the spouse couldn't go.
Yeah, they left their spouse home.
Right, and they were like,
they didn't have any money.
We're like, what? like the concept of like your spouse not being able to come because they didn't have any money. Like that was just so foreign to us. And it, honestly, I'm not judging because I know that it's different strokes for different folks. It's something that's so foreign to us and to me that I can't help but have sort of a visceral reaction just to the thought of it. Like the thought of being like, I'm sorry, babe, you spent all the money you can spend this week, so you can't go
anywhere.
You can't. I'm going out without you because you don't have any money. Anyway, so I'm sorry.
And again, for some people, that might actually be a strategy.
Right. They might have actually had money and just said they didn't have any, so that
that was their way of getting out of having to go and hang out.
Having to hang out with the spouse. So anyway, I mean, I get the notion of having your own money, or not having everything commingled, especially since I've also seen situations where people have had spouses that had gambling issues or substance use issues and different things that have resulted in some pretty catastrophic results as far as finances are concerned. Yeah. But those are obviously extreme circumstances. And then I think as women, most of us have been raised to have like even
To have your own.
right, like to have your own, and then even if you are in a situation where you're sharing accounts with your spouse, that you have a stash, right? Like that's just kind of, I think, for women of my age, it was something that our parents and previous. He's looking at me like, "What, a stash?" No, he always jokes because he knows I have some other bank accounts, but they're with other family members, and they're to take care of other family members, and he knows that. But he always tries to act like it's like something beyond that. I don't. It's not.
Give her the
that,
evil eye.
It's not that. I forget. There's a name that they. It's not rainy day. There's some name that the women use for that account or that stash, like just in case. I forget what it is, but you've heard it, right? Like you. This isn't a foreign concept to you, right? Like that.
Not before I met you.
Really? I'm sure that you probably just didn't have a conversation with other women because it's something that our parents, um, taught us to like. You never know. Like you gotta have a stash just in case.
The escape room fund.
Right, escape room funds. If you need to leave, you gotta be. No, but anyway, this is not about leaving. Obviously, it's about staying, and it's about the things that you do to ensure smooth navigation of your relationships. And I think like being on the same page about what your goals and priorities are, making sure that you have, similar. You're gonna have differences. We watch a lot of HGTV, and one of the things that's like absolutely fascinating to us is that
when their budgets for the houses,
the budgets are
somebody will have a $300,000 budget, and then the other one will have a $500,000 budget.
Yeah.
Like, how can you be that far off?
The couples are often that far off, and it goes back and forth. Like sometimes it's the man who's like, no, we're not spending that much, and sometimes it's the woman who's like, no, we're not spending that much. So it's just so funny to like see them sort of come, to the middle.
Then they always end up buying a house that's like $600,000.
Right, it's like way over
both budgets.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, that just, there's so many examples of how people aren't necessarily on the same page in terms of their comfort levels with making major purchases, but through a process of just I think with things like home purchases, I think you sort of
it'll test a relationship. Apparently,
it'll test a relationship.
We didn't have that problem, but I've seen it.
No, you also get educated by the market, right? Like you have an idea of what you think you want. And you're like, oh, I don't want to spend beyond this, but you want like the world, right? So you start seeing what you can get.
Champagne taste with a Budweiser budget.
What you can get for your money, and that's usually how people sober up in those instances because they're like, okay, like, well, if we're going to get all the things that we want, then we're
going to have to spend more for it. Yeah, especially in the location you want to be in as well.
Yep. So we were talking about how when we first got married, because we are sharing an account and. We were in a new house, had bigger expenses. So we're just still sort of figuring things out. And so we came up with, okay, if we are going to make a purchase over $100, then we need to have a conversation or just tell the person that you're going to make the purchase. So, that will tell me because I was handling my.
Yeah, so you tell her.
Let me know if you're going to.
It wasn't about her telling me. It was
right.
Tell her.
Yeah, it was him telling me. And so, and now I was like, we're more around, if there's a purchase over $500 and, we should have a conversation about it. You see him looking at me, right?
Because when did it get to 5? I remember going to 3 and 4, but I don't remember 5.
Well, again, it's you telling me that's.
Well, again, I hadn't been told that I had a $500 limit now. So. Well, thank you.
Let's keep it at 100 for you. No, sure.
Excuse me.
I'm joking. I mean, for the purposes of accounting, right? Like, if it's, obviously I can see it, right?
Yeah.
I can see whatever you're buying, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, over 500, you should just give me a heads up. Like, hey, don't go buy a motorcycle and not tell me, babe. Like, now I'm just.
Well, chances of me doing that are very slim anymore.
I know you.
I have a license and I know how to ride, but I'm just probably not doing that.
I know you wouldn't go buy a motorcycle. But that was my other question about people who have completely separate accounts. Like, how do you deal with major purchases? Like if you
They
did
just, I mean,
want to go buy a car or a motorcycle, do you
Well,
not have to have a conversation because you have
I-
separate accounts? Like
I would
if you have
imagine
the
they
money,
don't.
if you've saved up for it, right? Like
or
you
if
have
it's
your own
part
money,
of their
if you've sa-
their monthly budget in
Right.
their
and
personal
you've
account.
saved up for it, can you just go buy
I mean,
whatever you want and not
I would
have a
imagine-
conversation?
I would imagine yes, but
That's
who knows?
it's just bizarre.
I mean, it's kind of weird to just show up with a car one day,
right?
and
Like,
not have
oh,
your
hey, I
spouse
bought a
know about it.
car, right? Like, I mean, I guess you still, regardless of what structure you've chosen in terms of money management, I imagine that having conversations are important, right?
Yeah, it should be.
And then the concept
Planning
of,
trips together, that sort of thing, and yeah.
yeah. So that was the primary, right? Because it's like, for if you're going on vacation, or if you decide, say you decide you want to buy a vacation property, and you have separate accounts. Like, do you establish a joint account to save for the vacation property, or do you just decide like what the budget is, and then you both just individually write a check or make a transfer? I don't know. It's interesting. It's a very interesting concept. The other thing that we've talked about or heard of, couples who may decide to have separate accounts, and then they tally up what all the bills are, and they split the bills
Down the middle.
50-50, regardless of what the salaries are. And I don't know that is necessarily fair. Like, to me, it seems like it should be proportional, right? Like if one spouse makes more than the other, say it's 60-40 or 75-25, whatever it is, it seems like it would be that proportion of the bills that the person would pay. But I've seen situations where if the woman made more than the man, that the guy was like, no, she's not going to pay more bills than I am. It's going to be 50-50. I don't care, So, I mean, I guess there are all kinds of factors that can go. And I've actually seen situations where women were like, it's not fair that he wants me to pay 50% when he makes, 50% more than I do. Like, he should be paying more than I should be paying. So, I guess it really boils down to communication, right? Like, there's certain discussions that you should probably have beforehand, to make sure that you're aligned around money. And there are going to be things that come up along the way, but
It's an interesting concept. I guess I hadn't even thought about it that way. Where people trying to split 50-50, even regardless of what the difference in salaries are.
yeah, I've seen that. So I think communication, right, is essential. Like, making sure that you're on the same page, making sure that you're aligned and that you agree. I mean, if you agree, whatever you're doing, as long as you agree on it.
I mean, if it works for
If
you, it works for
it
you.
works for you, right?
Who
And
are we to say, oh, that's not the right way to do it? I mean,
Right.
if you can make it work, make it work.
I mean, I
Have at it.
did see a scenario where, and actually this was, I think this was on a show. It wasn't even a real life couple, although I've heard of similar situations in real life. But the couple wanted to buy a house, and the wife made significantly more money, and the husband was like, we're not ready to buy a house. And the wife was like, yeah, we are. Like, we're renting, I'd rather we not be renting. Let's buy this house. And he's like, well, I can't afford it. And she was like, what do you mean you can't afford it? Like, we're a couple, right? But he couldn't get over the fact that she made so much more money than he did. And he didn't want to, like, because he wanted to feel like he was contributing, he'd rather continue renting than buy a house and not feel like, he was significantly a part of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's tough. I think that, again, and it's not like they didn't start out that way, right? Like, they started out in a situation where he knew he married this woman who was like a baller. Like, literally, she was making millions of dollars a year, and he was, not. So you have to be comfortable with whatever your situation is. You can't.
Yeah, if it's that big a difference, I don't know.
But
That would be interesting.
I mean, I don't think
there's
you
a-
would disadvantage both people, right, or yourselves, or where you are as a couple, like to continue renting because your ego can't handle buying a house, right?
I can understand some guys. Well, not understand, but I can see some guys trying to do that. But
No,
I mean, you walked into that situation to begin with, so it's not like it changed dramatically.
right.
I mean, if something changed dramatically, that's one thing. But if that's been the dynamic since day one, it's you have to expect that's going to continue to be at least for at least a considerable amount of time anyway.
Yeah, communication, right?
Yeah.
Back to communication. So, the I guess other thing that we were going to talk about that's kind of related to communication tonight was so I'm on a board, well,
A couple of
a
different
couple of boards,
but
and
one of them in particular.
one of the boards, we're having a retreat in a few weeks, and the chair of the board sent us a packet that had a book in it, and the book is called "How Full Is Your Bucket?" And it's pretty interesting. I've not finished it, but halfway through, they were just talking about how um, interactions that we have with people are seldom neutral. That typically they either enhance or detract, and that simple sentences, ways that we communicate with people, can either fill their bucket or take away from their bucket. I think the term they use is dipping. Are you filling or dipping? Right. And so I just thought it was interesting. It's similar to a lot of the concepts that we've read about and looked into. Like we were talking about love languages.
Pouring into somebody's bucket and being more of a giver than a taker kind of thing.
Yeah. But the fact that a simple conversation or something that you think is benign could actually have a negative effect. One of the examples they gave in the book is that some parents tend to focus if children bring home a report card and there are say 4 A's and 1 B or 1 C, that the primary conversation is about the B or C as opposed to congratulating them for all the other grades, right? And so that by focusing on the deficit or the one that isn't great, that is dipping, and that it's not a strengths focused or strengths based approach.
Conversation,
it's like, focusing on the weakness, which is detrimental according to the author. I think the other thing he talked about was just to be intentional with your partner, right? Like with every conversation, everything that you say. And I think it's especially interesting because I think there are times where there may be something that you need from your partner.
Is there something you need?
No, not specifically, but that there's something that you want to address with your partner. And so how do you do that in a way that doesn't empty their bucket, right? How do you address an issue
it's
that
not
needs
so
to
much what you say, but how you say it.
right? Not what you say, but how you say it. So it's just, I think being very deliberate and intentional about how you communicate, and not just with your partner, right? With your employees, with your
everyone
children,
you interact with
everyone. So it really did make me just take a pause and think about the way that I say things, and the way that I, did you do this? Did you do that? Or did you leave this? Or did you, like
maybe I did.
like, is that filling the bucket or is that taking away from the bucket? So
or just kicking it around somewhere.
Yeah, it just made me a little more aware, and I was already aware and already make sure that I am giving positive feedback to my husband on a regular basis, that I'm always telling him how much I appreciate him, and you know thanking him for all the things that he does and telling him how handsome he is.
Occasionally feels like I'm being buttered up for a
He
big
always,
ask.
when I say that, and I do this on a weekly basis, mind you, and he always says to me, "What do you want?" Is that horrible?
I don't
Like,
always.
16
It's about once a month.
For the most part, his response to me is, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Come on, babe. Like 16 years in, like you should know that I am
if I
just genuinely."
didn't say it, you'd be asking me,
I
"Wait,
know.
what's wrong?"
It's funny, but I am genuinely just offering you appreciation, right? Like, and so
Yes.
instead of thinking I'm trying to butter you up for something, like as if I have to butter you up. Take out the trash. No, that's your job now. So you
Yes.
don't have to do that anymore.
Yes.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
I think this is all for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for listening in. And again, we are a little late. We actually had some technical difficulties. We started recording and then things got erased and then we had to re-record. So
yes,
sorry for the pause, but
here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And we hope, you know what, please do us a favor. If you do watch this video, would you tell us how you and your partner handle whether you have financial decisions, like if you have a single account or joint accounts? I'm just curious as to like what the majority of people are doing. Very curious about that. So please, and don't forget to subscribe and like.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.